Hey guys, good morning, and I am here to do a video. I was asked to do this video regarding what I did to prepare my daughter, my firstborn, when I was pregnant with my second, to bring my second one home, like the transition, like how I managed, I guess you would say, with going from having one child to the second, and now that I'm going from having two child to the third. I just wanted to share with you guys like tips of what I did to help that transitioning period of making my daughter feel still loved and yet loving my son, and how now that I am pregnant with my third, how I make my two children feel loved while I'm gonna bring home our third child. So I'm just gonna go off of what I can remember I did. And to start off with my daughter, everybody, when they're a first time mom, there's nothing to worry about. You just, you're pregnant, you have the baby, and you come on home, and it's just you and your husband and your baby, just the three of you guys. So perfect, that's it. But then you get pregnant again with your second child, and I know every mom worries about, oh my gosh, I love my firstborn so much, I don't think I'm going to be able to love two children the same way. And I questioned that myself when I was pregnant with my son, my second child. I felt like, how am I going to love my son and love my daughter all at the same time? It's like, how are you going to share that love? And, it's completely natural to feel that way. So don't beat up on yourself for feeling like you aren't going to be able to share your love with your children and then your spouse, but it will work out. So for me, it took somewhat of a little bit of a, time for me to, grasp, okay, I'm going to have a second child, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do. And I was a nervous wreck. So my daughter, when I got pregnant with my son, my daughter was about 9 months old, so she wasn't even a year old. So going through the whole morning sickness and not feeling good while trying to be a mother of one and loving her while taking care of myself and making sure the baby that's inside of me was fine, it was difficult. So when it got to the time where it was close to delivering my son, my daughter wasn't walking yet. She was still, teeter-tottering, and she wasn't fully walking. So I was nervous. What am I going to do with a newborn and then a toddler that is a late walker that, I pretty much carry around? So lo and behold, she started walking the very month that my son was born. And that kind of alleviated some of the stress off of me worrying about her development wise, as far as being more independent in her own little way. So God had it out where he worked it out where she was able to walk, so I wasn't going to be the mom carrying around two kids. And for me to prepare her for her brother, I started, once my stomach started showing and it wasn't the little flat stomach that I used to have, I would tell her, princess, you're gonna be a big sister, and I will get her involved. I'll let her talk to my stomach, and I'll let her, touch my stomach, and I'll let her read with me when I'm reading to my belly. I'll let her sit there, and I'll encourage her to get in her mind that, you're gonna be a big sister, you're gonna have a little brother, there's going to be somebody else that mommy's going to have to pay attention to. And I know that she wasn't old enough to comprehend what I was telling her, but I was just trying to let her know that, mommy's going to love her, and mommy's going to have another baby. Mommy and daddy's going to have another baby, so she will be fine. And she had her time when we were fixing up her brother's room, where I would tell her, you're going to have a little brother by the name of Josiah. And, do you want to help mommy decorate this? Do you want to color this? Do you want to make a note for Josiah? And stuff like that, just to make her feel, you know, that she is a part of what's going on, the part of my pregnancy. So because I did not want her to feel left out. So when the baby came now, when my son was born, she was a little bit older now. She wasn't 9 months old. She was, I don't remember how old she was, but she was old enough to know that, you know, okay, there's something called a baby coming now. She might not be how she is now, where she knows that there's definitely her sister in my tummy, but she knew that there was going to be another child. So we went to the hospital, whatever, had the baby, and then we came home. And at first I was like, I'm excited for her to meet her brother, but she did not really, she didn't have my excitement, and which is totally understandable. So if you're about to have your second child and you have a younger child under the age of 3 or 2, don't feel bad if you introduced your newborn to your child and you don't get the reaction that you think you would get in your mind. That's just how kids are. So she eventually warmed up to the fact that she had a brother, where she was curious and she wanted to play. But I remember there were times where I felt like while I was nursing my son, or I was changing him, or I was trying to get him to go to sleep, that I could see her trying to do things to get my attention. So what I tried to do with her is, I would, like, if I'm changing her diaper, I would say, do you want to get Josiah his diaper, or do you want to get this for mommy, or can you hold this for mommy, to let her feel a part of what's going on. Now that I'm having my third, that's somewhat what I'm doing to transition my son, because now my daughter, she obviously knows that there's going to be another baby. So I'm trying to help my son, you know, and he's at the stage of what my daughter was at, where she didn't, you know, comprehend what's going on. And now my son, he knows, but he doesn't really know, if that makes any sense. So I'm doing the same thing I did with my daughter with my son now. When my husband had, flashback a little bit, when my husband was going back to work, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be home with my daughter and my newborn by myself. My husband took off, I think, 2 weeks. And 2 weeks goes by really fast when you have a newborn and you're trying to figure out the scheduling, how to make things work. So it's hard, but don't beat up on yourself if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I'm gonna have to go back to work, whichever, and how am I going to manage a crying newborn, to breastfeed, and to take care of a toddler and all that stuff? You'll be fine. You know, if you got help, use the help that you have. I had help because we had a nanny that lived in with us at that time when I was pregnant with my son, because I was put on bed rest for a certain amount of time towards the end of my pregnancy. So I needed that extra help while my husband was at work. But I didn't want to keep her too long because I wanted to get used to me being my mom self, you know, without having the help, because, you know, I don't want to keep her forever. So anyways, that happened, and, you know, my husband went back to work, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get this together. So here's a tip that worked for me. Get a schedule. Figure out the pattern for, like, what your child sleeps. Like my daughter, she had a pattern. She was still taking naps during the daytime. It was for me to get my newborn into the somewhat same pattern of my daughter's pattern. So if your toddler is still on a schedule, try to get your newborn into that schedule, or try to set a schedule as close to your other child's schedule as you can, to make sure that you're not going crazy having one child going to sleep, and as soon as one child's awake, then you're just all over the place. Try to get them somewhat on the same schedule. So that's tip number 1, is getting your kids on the same schedule. If you're a mom of 1 and you're bringing home a newborn, same thing goes with if you're a mom of 2. I have I'm gonna have 3 kids under 3. Is that crazy? Under 3 years old soon. My daughter is 3. She's gonna turn 4 soon, but she'll still be 3. My son is 2, so I'm gonna have 3 kids under 3. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But I already have both of them on a schedule as far as their schooling, as far as their naps. I cannot do without a schedule. I like to keep things organized because I feel like I work better and things just flow better for me. In my household, that's how I manage things. So get your kids on a schedule. If they don't have one already, it might be a little bit hard, but if you can manage to try to figure out a schedule, then that'll be perfect for you and your newborn. And try to get your other children, you know, into the mix of what's going on when the baby comes. And also, if you're like my daughter now, she's older, so she is able to, you know, help me more. So when you're going from 2 to 3 kids, I feel personally it's easier than going from 1 to 2 kids, because your first child is gonna be older where she can, you know, pass you the bottle, go upstairs or wherever she is, get some diapers, and or watch your second while you're trying to do this with your third. So that in some sense is going to be easier for you. It's trying to get through this 2 kids phase that might be a little bit difficult. But trust me, you'll be fine. Just follow my tip of trying to get organized with, you know, planning a schedule that works together for the newborn and for your so yeah, that's 1-year-old. For what I can think of to help that mom out there, whoever watches this video, that is pregnant with their second child and they have a toddler around that has, you know, is needing their attention, on how to balance that and how to figure out, you know, what you can do to, you know, get your toddler prepared so you don't freak out when you bring that newborn home. So I hope my video wasn't too much of a rambling video. I hope you got something from it. And if you have any questions, just feel free to leave them in the comment box below, and I'll definitely answer you to the best of my ability. But just remember, the one tip that I have is to figure out some kind of way to organize yourself. And you know, once you're organized with the sleeping schedule, everything will fall into place. You'll feel more like you can manage things a little bit better, and it's not gonna feel as stressful. So go ahead and, you know, look into from now before the baby comes on how you could, you know, organize yourself and prepare for that baby to come in. And also try to work with your toddler or whatever sibling it might be to get ready for this new addition. And it's all gonna work out, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope it's what you expected. I hope I answered the question that you wanted me to answer, and I hope you got my insight from my side of my perspective. So I'm gonna just hush my mouth and that will be the end of this video. If you guys have any other video suggestions that you want, like mommy advice about, please leave them in the comment box below. If you have any other questions other than mommy advice stuff that is just not related to mommy stuff, go ahead and leave them, and I'll feel free and I'll answer your videos. I'm just chatting too much. But anyways, guys, I'm about to go on the road, so I'll talk to you, and as always, God bless you, and see you guys soon. Bye.